Okay, great. So, welcome back. To many of you, I think you had also come in for the previous session, which was focused more on how do you get to the stage of getting an interview call. Yeah. So, last time we spoke a little bit about how do you prepare your CV, how do you prepare your profile, where to find the right kind of AI jobs, uh, how do you put your best foot forward while applying, and what are the best practices across that entire chain, right? So today we'll continue from there, from the time that you actually get an interview call. Now, one thing that you'll all notice is that in your job search journey, when you first start off, you would have done some work on your CV, but it's not yet there. It still has some room for improvement, and you may or may not be getting good interview calls. So at that point of time, you start to work on your CV, you start to iterate, you make changes, you're taking a lot of feedback, you're learning from each time that you're applying, and you're getting better and better. Eventually, what happens? Your CV reaches a stage where you're doing a really good job of applying, and you realize that, okay, there are a lot more companies that are now reaching out to you to take you to the interview stage, right? That's a good place to be. That means that your CV is performing. As we discussed last time, the main role of your CV is to get you an interview call. That's like the primary purpose. Once you've reached that stage, you'll find that yes, you still need to keep iterating a little bit on your CV, but whatever practices that you've been following, customizing it for each company, ensuring that your CV is getting through the ATS systems, ensuring that it is packing an important punch, and it is very easy to read, very easy to skim through all of those things. So, what happens once you've actually reached that stage of an interview, right? So today that's what we're going to talk about. From starting your interview process until landing the offer, what are the things that you need to do? What's the best way that you can actually crack this? So first, let's look at the interview process, right? What all happens? This is, yes, it is for AI, but it's also in general for any kind of technical interview, right? Or for that matter, even any type of interview at all. So the typical process after your CV is shortlisted is there will be some technical rounds. This is, of course, after the screening round. A screening round, in some sense, is not really the first round. It's just a discussion to see if you should be even invited into the interview process. But post that, let's say that you get into the technical assessments, right? So typically, there is between 1 to 3 rounds of technical interviews. Depending on the company, there might be a lot more. For example, if you go to Google, there'll be like a good 6 to 8 rounds, maybe a little bit more also sometimes, and you'll have to crack all of those to be able to make it through. But largely for smaller startups or for even large tech companies, typically 3 rounds is fair. And what are the kind of things that you can expect here? One, they will go through your CV in a fair amount of detail, right? They'll question you on different aspects. They'll want to know what is the past work that you've done. They'll want to understand, what is your technical skills, all of those things. Then a lot of them are also about just questions. Questions in the sense these are related to some technical aspect, but may not be a project that you've worked on. Some of these could be kind of hypothetical situations. There might be straight off questions about a framework that you've been working with. There could be questions on highly technical questions. How would you deal with memory shortages? How would you deal with how would you optimize code? All of those kind of things. They might also be code alongs, right? So what they'll do is actually they'll give you a problem statement. You'll have your laptop or you might be using one of their systems and you will actually write a program in real time with them. So they're also kind of observing, they're looking at, how you're approaching it, what is. So in a lot of these things, it's not only about getting the output, but they're also seeing your thought process in all of those. And then, of course, problem solving, right? So they'll give you different problems, many of them hypothetical. It could be something like, if Uber is facing this kind of a problem, how would you use AI to address it? Right? Hypothetical problems. They may or may not even have a right answer, but it's really to see how you're thinking about things. And then typically there's an assignment and the discussion of that assignment, right? So they'll give you like a take-home assignment. This varies. Some companies will ask you to do, a small assignment and turn it around in 2 or 3 days. Some companies will give you like a slightly larger assignment and they'll give you enough time, like 2 weeks or something like that. Idea is that you work on an actual problem, or you work on even if it's not a problem that is very relevant to them, at least it's a good indicator of your skill set, your problem solving ability, your ability to adapt to whatever that they have given. And then they'll have a discussion after that. Why did you use this approach? How did you come up with this? Is there a different thing that you could have tried? All of those. If you get through that part, there'll be like an HR or leadership round. Sometimes these happen together, sometimes they happen separately. Ideas to bring together, to bring you to the leadership. It could be founders, it could be, like a skip level manager, whatever it is, and have a discussion with them because they are the ones who are, in some sense, going to be responsible for you, right? So they also want to know who are we hiring into our team or who are we hiring into the company? Would they be the right fit? If that goes well, then you'll get into negotiation. This isn't so much a round. It's just a typical, ad hoc discussion. You might just do it on a quick call. You might visit them in person and have a discussion. Sometimes it might not even be, kind of a two-way conversation. It might be really more of email exchanges and, each one positioning what they bring to the table, what are the benefits and what they can offer. If all goes well, then they will roll out the offer. This could be, through email. It could be a paper, document that they give you, which you have to sign and give back. It could be through the ATS, which is applicant tracking system, where you might have to digitally sign to accept the offer. At the same time, they'll also start your background checks. Typically, larger companies do it. Smaller companies may or may not do a background check. Sometimes they might just ask for references and speak to people that you worked with in the past. But large companies almost always have a background check, right? So if through this entire process, it's very important that you have not misrepresented yourself, or to put it plainly, you have not lied anywhere, right? Whatever be the issue, if you have a frank discussion with them, for some companies, they might not even look at it as an issue. If you got laid off, you got fired for whatever reason, all of those things, better to tell it upfront because if they find out later, then there is no room for discussion. Then you will just be asked to leave, right? So those kind of things. Now, what are some of the things that have changed, right? Um, Now you have a lot of AI interviews. By AI interviews, I mean that you will actually do the interview with a bot. There's a call that comes in, and the bot has been trained, or at least it's been shown how exactly to take interviews specific to that company. It has the right kind of questions. It has the right kind of knowledge. It also has access to the JD, and it has access to your CV. So it is able to do a preliminary round of, a kind of a technical round. First, typically they use this for first level discussions, not for like later stages. If it feels that you've done a good job, then great. Then next round, a human will likely get involved. But along with AI is doing the interview, you also will use a lot of AI to prepare for it, right? And I'll touch upon a few tools that you can use a little bit later. But that is one thing that has definitely changed. We see that AI has become a huge part of this entire process, interview preparation and conducting the interviews. There are also AI assisted assignments. By this, what I mean is typically they used to give you a problem statement before and say that, create a program for this or, create a project for this, show us the code that you've written, all of that stuff. Today, things have changed a little bit where companies are actually telling candidates that you can use whichever AI tool that you want. You want to use Cursor, you want to use, Codex, whatever that you want, you can use. Of course, there'll be some, kind of guardrails saying that don't violate any copyrights, don't just take a research paper that has already been published and just copy it straight off. So some rules they will give you for each of those. But AI-assisted assignments are becoming a lot more common. Before, when it first started off, companies didn't want to use AI. They didn't want you to use AI while doing these assignments. But now they're realizing that even in the company you're going to be using AI. So why not see how well you are able to do it, right? So but with that what also happens is they give a slightly lesser time frame because you can actually build it faster. Essentially what they're looking at is your approach to solving the problem, your approach to solution development. That is going to be more important for them than just your pure ability to code. There are a lot of cheating tools that have come up, like final round, all of these. they are essentially, prompting you to say they're listening in on the conversation, they're listening to the questions that the interviewer is asking, they're prompting you on the side. It's, they try and make it very, very easy for you to cheat. Honestly, please don't use these things. One, there are a lot of good monitoring tools also out there, and those monitoring tools will work against you, right? So if you're cheating, these tools will catch you. And then what is happening now is companies will not even discuss it with you and say that why did you cheat, or we want to do another round in person because the previous time you cheated or you took help from those kinds of tools. They will simply ignore you, right? And then you're wondering what happened. My interview went so well, I was using this tool, everything should have been fine, but they're not even talking to you. They're basically ghosted you. You're not getting to know what has gone wrong, right? So there are definitely a lot of good monitoring tools. So please don't use any kind of tools to cheat. And in some sense, it does not make sense also for you to cheat, because when you are interviewing with a company, when they are asking you questions, and they're asking you the kind of questions that they need you to know and you to be able to solve those kind of problems, because that is the kind of stuff that you will face on the ground in their company. If you are not able to handle it now, what makes you think you will be able to handle it there? You will go there, your performance will not be up to par. They'll say that, okay, interview you did so well, but then, on the ground is not able to do it. They'll put you on performance improvement plan. Eventually, you will be asked to leave the company, right? Unless, of course, something drastically changes and you become so good in that short period of time. But essentially, what would have happened? You would have wasted like a good 6 months of your life. You would have joined a company where you're not able to keep pace with the others. You will be struggling. It affects your morale. If you are struggling in a company, it definitely affects your own morale. It affects your ability to improve, all of those kind of things. And in 6 months again, if you have to leave, it looks very bad when you apply for your next job, right? So there is no point in cheating. I keep telling people this, and I hope that most people are taking my advice for this. But please avoid any kind of cheating. Instead of putting so much effort into cheating, please put that same effort into preparing for the interview. You will do much better, and much better in life itself, right? And now, of course, one thing that has changed is there are these ideas of, try before you hire or try before you join. So, what that means is, if you want to go start working with a company, neither you nor the company is making a very strong commitment initially. They're saying, come do a project with us or do an assignment with us. Sometimes these are paid, sometimes these are free, but it will be like a 3 month assignment, right? So, while you're working your current job, you might also be working, part time with another company. Really, it is more of a, this is something that, ideally you should see what your current company's policies are about this. Some companies, don't really keep it very strict. They don't really care if you're doing other projects on the side, even commercial projects. Some companies are very clear that you are not allowed to do these things. So please be careful. Don't violate any of the policies in your current company. But if you have that option, and a lot of times when you're working with startups, they don't mind you doing other stuff on the side, as long as you're completing whatever work that they have assigned you. So in those cases, you can always take up, an assignment with another company and do it as a consulting project. And if it works well, then maybe they will themselves say that, okay, great, your work was really good. We like what you're doing. Why don't you come and join us full time and build this out, on a more permanent basis. So that is also there. It is also good for the candidates because you get to see the people that you're working with. You understand the company culture. You understand if that work itself is interesting to you and challenging enough. And that also gives you like a good idea to say that, okay, for this kind of a company, I would expect, or for this kind of work, I would expect, this kind of a remuneration. So it actually becomes good for both sides, right? But what has stayed the same? One, the capability assessment, right? So all the skills, tools, whatever that you have, learnability, comms, your problem solving capability, whether it is done by AI or whether it is done by a human, really the interview process is about assessing your particular skill set. Second is the cultural fit, right? I think we had discussed this last time also. Attitude is, it plays a very important role. Reliability plays a very important role. They also, through the interviews, they want to see how persistent you are in trying and solving a problem. Can you adapt to changing scenarios? And then a little bit about just your personality. Are you easy to work with? Are you easy to get along with? It also helps, the purpose of the interview is also for value discovery, right? If you are a really strong candidate, they don't mind paying you a little bit extra, right? Even if it's going beyond the budget, if you're a strong candidate, you can solve the problems for them. They will pay, your salary will increase, or whatever the, kind of range of the salary they had thought for you, they'll be a little bit more flexible about that. It is also to understand how much equity that they can give. Uh, Typically, if you see, even when a company announces the remuneration in the job description itself, it always gives a range. It will not be like a fixed amount, and that range is to allow for people of different capabilities. If you're really good, you will get at the top end of that range, maybe sometimes even slightly higher. Right now, in small companies, especially, this is not set in stone, and they are the ones who always give equity. At the same time, it's not only about salary and equity. It's not about just the money part of it. It's also the time, right? And the effort that they plan to invest in you. So if they see that, okay, this person is really smart, does not have the full skill set that we needed right now, but let's go and hire them because given them enough time, and we are going to put in that effort to train them. We're going to make courses available to them. We're going to guide them through projects. We'll have a senior person sitting with them and working. That is also an investment in your career, right? So the purpose of the interview is also to see, is this a person who can learn and who we can actually commit to and say that come work with us. We understand that you're not yet going to be on day one, you're not going to be able to contribute 100%, but we feel that 6 months down the line you'll be one of the best people and we'll take you there. So that's also a really good thing. So now let's look at the interviewer mindset. So in the last session, we looked at the recruiter mindset, right? What are some of the challenges that they have? Then the reason I want to share these things with you is I get to see both sides of the story. We've been helping companies with hiring AI developers for the longest time. We've also been working very closely with a lot of AI devs. And so I'm able to see both sides of the story. I want to demystify what is going through the interviewer's mind so that you are in a much better position, to present yourself better, to address the kind of challenges that the interviewer is also facing. And in some sense, just to have an appreciation of, okay, these are the kind of challenges that they have. So it's not that they had something against me personally, but this is possibly one of the reasons why, let's say, it didn't go well. So first and foremost, you should know that any interview that is starting, the interviewer is not coming with the idea that they have to reject you. In fact, it is the opposite. They are trying to find that I'm looking for all the signals that says you are the right person for this job. And if I hire you, you will come in and do a lot of great things for the company. And if I hire you today, or if this process is a success, I don't have to spend any more time looking for more candidates, right? This is typically the listing. What happens, especially I think in slightly larger companies, what happens is HR will do the initial screening, and then they have to schedule interviews with the experts, right? With the technical people. Sometimes there will be the hiring manager will have people in his team who can interview you. Sometimes they'll have to look for people from other teams to interview you. In all of those cases, they're drawing on resources, pulling them away from the work that they were doing, and asking them to spend 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, whatever it is, to vet people, right? And this happens multiple times. If they don't find the right candidate, there are people who are not they're not even hiring for their own team, but they're like interviewing 10 people, 20 people a week, right? And it becomes a big drain. So I can guarantee you, when an interview is coming in to the room, they're really hoping that you are the right person for them, and that they're all that effort that goes into searching is completed, right? So that is it. So they're always looking for signs of that give them a sense of confidence that yes, this is the right person. So now it is only up to you to live up to that kind of expectation, right? Now these are some of the challenges and how they cope. First of all, it's the same thing with recruiters trying going through CVs. There's just so many CVs that are coming in. There's very little time. Even here, what happens? They have 30 minutes to 60 minutes. Sometimes it might go a little bit longer, but largely it is a very short period in which they have to assess if they want to work with you potentially for years, right? If everything goes well, hopefully you'll stick around for 3 years, for 5 years, whatever it is. So how do they take such a big decision in just 30 to 60 minutes? One way that it happens is multiple rounds. So for a lot of candidates, they do feel the frustration saying that, oh, how many rounds of interview should I go through here, right? They're hoping that they have one round of technical interview and they do like one assignment and they have one HR round and that is that. Tell me yes or no. But it doesn't work like that because of this thing, right? Because it's a little risky to have base everything on just 30 minutes. In that 30 minutes, things, they might have just asked you the right questions which you knew about, and so you got lucky. It could also be the other way around. In those 30 minutes, they might have asked you those specific questions that you didn't know. Maybe you're a very good candidate. Maybe that day you're not feeling well. Maybe that day there was a lot of stress. Even when you're coming to the interview, there's some issue with your cab, whatever it is, you got delayed, you came in stressed, you're not able to perform to the best of your ability. That does not mean you should lose that opportunity. That does not mean that they also should lose that chance to recruit you. So it's actually a good thing to have multiple rounds, right? If you've done badly in one round, hopefully in the next round, you'll be able to kind of make up for that. The second challenge is also, how do you distinguish between so many applicants who have similar profiles, especially now because a lot of people are, taking the JD, taking the CV, asking the AI to, kind of rewrite the CV to fit the JD. By definition, there'll be a lot more people who are looking like they are very good matches for that JD, right? So, how do you distinguish? How does a recruiter or an interviewer distinguish? They look for spikes. They look for something that was very good or that was very bad. Because if they see things that are very bad, like while they're interviewing you, they're saying that this, it's easy for them to then confidently say, no, this person is not right for us. Right? Imagine they did not come in hoping for that, but if they see it, they're going to be like, okay, this person is not right. Or if there's something very good, if you do something so good, you solved a problem in a very elegant way, you had done some project which was really interesting and you're able to explain it really well, then they feel good about it. They feel confident that, okay, I will pass them in this interview, let them go to the next round, and then we'll get the feedback from the next interviewer also. This becomes a little bit more tricky, how to separate the actual work that somebody might have done from lies, right? A lot of times people they lie in the CV. They claim to have worked on projects related to whatever's there in the JD, but they might not have done, or they might be exaggerating in a very big way in the sense that yes, they were part of a team that did that, but they played a very, very small role, or they did not do the things that they are claiming on their CV, right? Now, it's easy to, just kind of now go to Chat GPT and say, what are the if this was the project that we have to work on, what are the things that I need to know? And you'll use all of that stuff to just prepare and keep an answer ready. Now, how does the interviewer know whether you actually worked on it or whether you just prepared well using Chat GPT's help or you're just plain lying about it? So the best way for them to do it is they go super deep into the project, right? If you had worked on something, they will ask you a lot of questions. Of course, they will ask you about what you did. They'll give you the opportunity to explain it and all of those things. Then they will start going into questions of why, how, what, all of those things. So typical questions are like, why did you take this approach? Why not a different approach? If not for this approach, what other approach would you have tried? Right? Then they'll say, tell me what went wrong while you were doing this project. So here, if you had not done this project, you will not know what had gone wrong, right? Every project things go wrong. If you had actually worked on it, you will know what exactly went wrong. You will remember it because you had struggled a lot with it. And eventually you figured out how to, resolve it and then, you this thing. But in your mind, it is there. Like, yeah, I remember that, when I was doing this, I was just not getting this kind of an output. And then finally, after a lot of searching, I figured out what the solution was. And then they'll also ask you things like, okay, you did this, but what would you have done differently in this project? So some of these help them to figure out, okay, this person has actually worked on this project. They know enough about it. They know about, all the branches that it could have taken. They know what went right, what went wrong, and why, and how they overcame it, right? So if there's a good interviewer, what will happen in a 30-minute session? Maybe about first 5 minutes will be a little bit of introduction, just getting to know you. Then they'll dive straight into project. They'll take one project, they'll go deep into it. There'll be a good 10-12 minute discussion on just that one project, right? Then they'll pick up a second project, uh, maybe from a different company that you worked at, what it is. Spend another 10-12 minutes on that thing. Then they might give like, some one or two hypothetical questions here and there. They'll ask you along the way. Then they'll give you some time to ask your questions. Ideally, come prepared with, some questions about the company. You should have done your research by going to the website. So that's typically how it goes. If it's a 30-minute interview, you can expect like a lot of focus on two projects. Sometimes it might be just one project, but then they also give you a problem statement, a hypothetical problem statement, and then they go deep into that, right? In both cases, the idea is the same. They want to see how much you actually know of what you have claimed. False negative is the other thing. If you are a good candidate, if you are a very good candidate, and for whatever reason that interviewer said, no, 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 he's not good, we should not hire him. And they had got, one round where one interviewer said, fantastic candidate, then you said, not a good candidate. In that case, HR might say, let's do one thing, let's get one third round of interview done. And if that person also says, no, no, fantastic candidate, I don't know why this, second interviewer said he was bad, that looks bad on the interviewer, right? And again, it might have been for a lot of reasons. It might have been, like I said, on that particular day, things were not going well for the candidate. They were not able to answer questions. They were really stressed. They were not keeping well, whatever might be the reason, right? So that false negative is also a worry that interviewer has. Interviewer, at the end of the day, is also a human, right? So they also have the same kind of emotions. They're also worried. Have they made a mistake? They're also, worried how they will look in front of their colleagues. These are all very, I'm telling you, like very frankly, things that happen on the ground. Now, the one way for them to use, and I mentioned this last time also, there are proxies, right? What is a proxy to know that a candidate is good? Brands is the easiest proxy to use. If you work at a FANG company, by the way, do you guys know what Mangoes is? The new thing that has come up. If anyone wants to put it in the chat, just a fun, interesting thing that I saw today about Mangoes. Yeah, I mean, Geos, it's the bunch of AI companies, right? It's Meta, it's Anthropic, Nvidia, Google, OpenAI, and SpaceX. Or basically Grok, right? So that's what this thing. This is becoming the new thing, right? So if you work for any of these companies, great indicator that yes, you're a good, strong candidate, right? If you're from an IIT, little bit more confidence to say that yes, you probably is, done well. Known startups, if you already come from, a startup that's already doing some great work in this space. A social proof, for those of you who attended the last session, we discussed this. Do you have like, a great blog? Do you have a great YouTube? Do you teach on Udemy? Do you have a lot of followers, right? The numbers. Now, one thing that is different for interviews compared to recruiters, right? The people who are, HR or something who might be screening your CV in the first place, there are some things that the interviewer will not know. For example, your salary, or if you were referred by an employee, or you were referred by the CTO of the company, all of this will not be disclosed to you. What is your expectation of hike? All of those things will not be told to you. So those are no longer proxies, which uh, the recruiter or the HR person had the benefit of seeing, but the interviewer does not have. And then, of course, there also one thing that definitely happens. Again, like I said, the interviewer is a human. In their mind, whether they know it or not, very subconsciously, there is always a culture fit happening, right? And that's where they kind of go with their own instinct when they're interacting with you. They have a sense of, I like this person or I don't like this person, right? Most of the times, you come in a mid range where it's not really an issue. But if you have a great personality, you hit it off really well with the interviewer, they'll be like, hey, good guy. It'll be nice to have him on the team. Or it might be the opposite, where they're saying, my God, what a horrible person. Imagine working with the guy day in and day out. Let's not call this guy only for the next round. So this happens subconsciously, right? So what does an interviewer really want? Same as last time, what does a recruiter want? They just want someone who can solve their problem, right? But in the case of an interviewer, most likely they are going to be working with you directly. See, for an HR person, you come into the company, they've closed their KRA, they closed that position, and they've moved on to the next hire. They will interact with you, but on occasion. But your hiring manager might be your interviewer, might be your teammate, might be your direct manager, whatever it is. They have to also work with you. So they are evaluating both of these things. Can you solve the problem? Do you have the skills, and do you have the right attitude? Right. So the need to have, different from the nice to have. Need to have is the skills. You have a good attitude. You have resilience, which means that given a problem statement, you don't give up. You try different ways, you come up with new methods, you are pushing yourself to find the right solution, all of that, because that is what will happen on the ground. Any problem that you take to solve, creating a new feature for the app or whatever it is, you are going to have to find a way to overcome obstacles. Especially in the AI space now, learnability has become super important. And how do they evaluate you? They look at, what kind of courses that you do. Do you have a habit of reading research papers? That has actually become a big thing. If you don't have this interest in reading research papers, it is fine. Try it out and see if you've not done it before. You might actually like it. But if that's not what you do, it is fine. Not everybody has to be, very interested in reading research papers, but you need to show different ways that you have kept updated, right, on the latest trends that have happened. So courses is a good way. Just trying experimental projects, side projects that you have taken and launched, participating in hackathons, all of these are good ways to show that I'm constantly interested in learning and improving, and this is what I keep doing. Again, specific to the AI part of it, the interviewer, when they're talking about, looking at your skill set, the tech stack selection for Gen AI has become important, right? Why do you select one over the other? Why have you chosen a smaller model over a bigger model? So then you have to be able to defend yourself in that interview to say that, for a previous project or for the assignment that you were given, things like, latency, the time it took for between two turns, the token usage, any kind of evals, benchmarks that were there, all of those things become very important. You need to be able to, talk about these things. Nice to have, yeah. Again, same as last time. If you are excited about the role, if you are excited about the company, you've been tracking what they're doing, you went to their website, you went through the JD, you came prepared. People are going to be a lot more excited to work with you because you are excited to work with them, right? If you come in saying, I don't know what your company does, yeah, HR just called me for an interview, I just came, but I don't know much about your company. It's annoying. It's irritating for someone who's working in that company who feels very strongly about that company, and especially if you're talking to a founder, they'll feel like, what is this? This guy does not even care about the company. Why should I hire him? Right? It's a very natural kind of a thing. So it is important that you also get excited and you have, out of all the jobs that are out there, you are only going to take up one job at a time, right? Why don't you take up a job that you are excited about? Why don't you go join a company that you feel really excited and happy to go to, right? So that is one important thing. It's a nice to have, of course, but it does play a good role. Communication is useful, fun. We discussed all of this in the last time. Collaboration and curiosity are also two very important things here, right? Curiosity in terms of if they give you a problem statement, even if you were not able to solve it, at least to have that curiosity to kind of say, okay, but how, what would be a good way to solve this? This is what I suggested. I don't think I have done a really good job with cracking this. But sir, can I ask you, maybe not even now, maybe after the interview, but can we have a quick discussion to figure out what is the best way to solve this? Because this problem statement is very good. I'm excited. I'm going to go back and read more about it, but I would also love to discuss with you. These things make a big difference, right? And I'm not saying put on a show. I'm saying that genuinely be curious, genuinely be open to learn. And then finally, what are the things that will get you disqualified, right? If you are arrogant, if you are a difficult person to deal with. Now, already this, being arrogant, all of that stuff we discussed last time also, even at just the screening stage, you will be removed from the process if you are arrogant, if you are unreliable, if you've had too many job jumps, all of that stuff. Now, if you've had too many job jumps, you would not even probably have gotten this to this interview stage. That's why it's not listed here. But for an interviewer, they are now having a direct conversation with you, right? If they're giving you some feedback on, some way that you approach the problem, and if you are being very defensive about it, saying, no, 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 that is not at all correct. What I have suggested only is better. It may be that you are right. It may be that you're wrong. But you being defensive and saying that I don't want to listen to what you're saying because I think I am better or my solution is nicer, that becomes, it leaves a very bad taste, right, for people. Or if it is lazy, if they give you a problem statement and you're like, I don't know what this is, no, I don't think I'll be able to attempt this. At least, try, even if like you feel like you might not be able to do it, just give it a shot, right? So these things become important. Without these, a lot of times you get disqualified. I've seen multiple times, very strong candidate. They had, they got through the first two levels very easily. They went to the technical interview stage. And then I heard back from the company saying that, Technically he was very good, but this is not the kind of person that we want to work with, right? So that happens more often than not. Now we'll get into a little bit of some mechanics around it, acing the interview. Meanwhile, any questions? Does anybody have any quick questions? Okay, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat. Every now and then I'll just check in and just try and answer some questions. Yeah. For now, I'm just going to continue with the next stage, which is acing the interview. So, like I said, there are a lot of AI tools and online resources. Please use these. Everything from just Chat GPT to many other tools that are there. Uh, Important for you to get the fundamentals and first principles thinking, right? Because, like I said, a lot of things keep changing, but what stays same is your understanding of fundamentals and your ability to break down a problem and think of it from the first principles to come at the answer. Because if you can do that, you can pretty much handle any problem. So that's the thinking behind it. Always have strong fundamentals. If you currently don't have strong fundamentals, not a problem. Please start working on it now so that you will actually, over a period of time, you will actually build up your fundamentals in whichever field that you have chosen. Um, Specifically look at different problem solving patterns, right? And this again is something that you can just Google, or you can just have a good long discussion with Chat GPT or Claude, saying that if I were to start interviewing and as given problem statements, what are some typical problem solving patterns that I can follow to handle any kind of a problem, right? So, and these are some other things, right? Break down a problem into smaller chunks. If it's a complex problem, break it into smaller pieces that are easier to handle. Do those things, stitch them together, iterate to see how you could improve on those. Once you have actually got a working solution, then optimize it after that to see if you can do it in a much better way. So all of these things. So, and there are many different problem solving patterns. This is just one example. So spend some time preparing for these things, right? So when you're preparing for an interview, it's almost like a penance. You have to spend a lot of time really just immersing yourself in the interview process. Definitely code regularly. I think today in the days of vibe coding, a lot of people have started to kind of lose touch with coding. When you are going for interviews, it is important for you to stay in touch, because a lot of times, so some companies today are very open and they say that you can use whichever tool. Some companies are not, right? And it depends on which company that you're going to. Some of them will say that, yes, please go ahead and use any kind of cursor, whatever it is. But some companies will be like, no, we actually don't allow the use of that in our company. So you're going to have to code this on your own, and let's see how you perform, right? And even if you can go back and work on an assignment, great. But if you have to solve a problem right there in the code along or something, it helps to just stay in touch. Now, even if you already know coding because you've done coding for so many years, if you have only been vibe coding for the last 12 months, then it becomes difficult for you to do this efficiently. You'll still be able to do it. It's just that it will take a lot of time. It'll look clunky. You're coding while they're watching. You might get like a little bit more nervous. Am I? Is this looking unimpressive? All of those kind of thoughts start to come in. Do mock interviews. So these are some of the tools that are saying there are a lot of AI tools. Of course, you can always use Chat GPT, and all of these also Google. Everybody allows for this. They provide the stuff for free. But there is something called Google Interview Warm Up. That's something you can do. Final round. It's something that you can use for mock interviews, but it is a tool that is, in some sense, used for a lot of cheating, right? So use this tool not for cheating during your interview, but use it for mock interviews in your preparation. There are companies like Interview that allow you to, book mock interviews with humans, technical experts. There'll be some nominal fee for it, so you can always do that. It gives you kind of real good feedback, and you can ask them for feedback. The one good thing about doing mock interviews, as opposed to in the real interviews, in the real interview you may or may not get feedback because the people also are busy. But when you do a mock interview, you actually get feedback about what are the things that went well, what are the things that I didn't do well, what is a better way for me to answer this question, all of that. Reach out to friends, reach out to the community. There are people who are always willing to help. And then, of course, stay updated, look at the latest trends, look at the latest concepts, put in an effort to understand what is happening. A lot of times, something new will come up, which is making waves. And then the interviewer, will have last 5 minutes, they'll just suddenly ask you, what is speculative decoding? and they kind of expect you to know the answer if you're working on the latest in the Gen AI space, right? So we actually cover a lot of the stuff in the DTS. We have our Deep Textiles app. We have the newsletter. Newsletter every day we cover, one new concept that you should know, and we explain it in very, very simple terms. So it is easy. It does not take much time. Right? I'll share the links to some of these later. Second thing, so once you've prepared for the interviews, you know all of this stuff. The main thing that I want to talk to you is about know your CV thoroughly, right? So first thing I told you, the main purpose of your CV is to get you an interview, right? So even before you have had a chance to speak to the HR or the interviewer or the hiring manager, your CV has actually gone to them first. So through that itself, the purpose of the CV is to get you the interview. Now, once you get the interview, the secondary purpose of the CV is to provide a list of talking points. There's a lot of stuff that you have done. The CV gives, it's almost like a menu of different conversations that the interviewer can choose to have with you. So they will pick and choose the things that look relevant to them. So the way that they will, when they're going through a CV, they look at something interesting and they say, okay, this problem statement looks similar to a problem statement that we have in our company. Let me go deeper into this. Let me ask how they worked on this project. Or it might be, okay, this is this in this other company where this person worked, they worked on the same tech stack or a similar tech stack as to what we are working on. Or it might be that they worked on a tech stack which we are considering, which we have not yet used, but this person has already worked on it. Let me quiz him on this. Right. So there might be different reasons for why they choose it, but especially if you've worked in a company for, if you've been in the industry for 5 years, 10 years, you've done a lot of projects. There's a lot to talk about. Generally, interviewers tend to focus on the more recent projects, but if there's an interesting project that is from before, you have put it up on a CV, they have the right to, go deep into that project. From your side, what that means is know your CV very, very thoroughly. If you're putting a point on your CV, you must be able to defend it in a very clear way, right? You cannot put a point on the CV, and just say that, yes, I know this skill, I know this very well, or to say that, I have expertise in diffusion models where you have, just basically used APIs before. You have not built diffusion models before all that, but if you start to claim that, when they start to talk to you about it, that your argument will fall flat, right? It will look very unimpressive. And if that happens, if they ask you a question where you said you have expertise, and then it turns out that you're not able to actually show your expertise, they will start to question everything else. They'll say, okay, this is something that they said they're an expert in, but they clearly are not. What else have they got put in the CV as an expert that they actually don't have expertise in? And if they're saying that they don't even have expertise in something, then how bad must they be in that? Right? So that kind of a challenge happens. Every project that you have decided to showcase on your CV, right? Now, if you're been only in the industry for like 2 to 3 years, you'll probably put all the projects that you worked on, which is fine. If you have been in industry for 10 years, 15 years, you will probably put in the projects that are relevant to this particular job or where you have had a significant contribution. In those cases, you can put it in, but please ensure that you've put in the project and you know that project inside out, even if it is something that you had worked on a long time ago. Because if it comes up in conversation, you must be able to do a deep dive. Like I told previously, they will ask you even not just what you did, but what you didn't do. Why didn't you do that? What else could you have done? What else didn't you do? It can go into a lot of those details. You will be able to only do that if you actually remember what you did and if you had actually done it. No lies. Yeah, I mean, this goes without saying, but more often than not, this happens. If you remember in the previous session, I said the CV is not the place to tell lies, but it is also not the place to be humble, right? So talk very proudly about whatever that you've done, but don't lie about anything that you have not done. And then while interviewing, just some quick pointers. You should know that it's important that you just stay calm during the interview. Like I said, the interviewer also wants you to succeed. So just be really calm about it. Don't get nervous. Don't panic. Don't really worry about it. And then secondly, just treat it like a conversation, right? A conversation that you're having with your colleague or with your friend or with a boss that you have admired. Just treat it in a very, very normal fashion and have that this thing. It brings out the curiosity in you. It brings out that that ability to focus on just the problem statement rather than trying to second guess how the interview is going. Am I doing well? Am I not doing well? You don't have to bother about any of those things. If they ask you a question, listen to what they're asking, try and provide the best possible solution, work with them, collaborate with them, and just bring them also into the conversation. That will actually work quite well. Um, how are we doing on time? Okay. I think we are okay because this PPT has slightly lesser slides, but this is actually the biggest differentiator, right? Assignments. You are lucky if you have an assignment. You should be very, very happy if you find that there's an assignment on. But more often than not, I find the opposite. When people are like, when they're given an assignment, they are like, I don't want to do it. This is going to take too much time. That laziness comes in, that thought of having to spend, 2 weeks working on something, I think that's a challenge. But I'll tell you the ground reality. 90% of your competition will disappear when there's a assignment run. What will happen is they will either just drop out of the process directly, or they will give some excuse, or they will say that, oh, I've already taken up some other offer. They just don't want to do the assignment, right? Or they will do the assignment without actually putting their heart and soul into it, which means it'll be a very, very ordinary assignment. If you have done your assignment really well and the interviewer compares these two assignments, you are already through, right? Everybody who drops out, everybody who does a bad job of the assignment is doing you a favor by pushing you up big time if you have done your assignment properly, right? So you should actually be very happy if there's an assignment round and you should look forward to that. And you should make it a point that, yes, of course, I'll, prepare for the interview and I'll answer all the questions properly, but I'm going to really shine when the assignment is given there. Secondly, what it does is it shows your, obviously your technical skills, your ability to solve the problem, but it also shows how you are approaching all of this stuff and that you're not afraid to do this kind of work, right? Because see, once you join the job, it's almost like everything that you do is an assignment. All they're asking is show us how do you do it, or show us that you're able to do this beforehand. In fact, people a lot of times come in and say, I'm already so senior. Why are they asking me to do assignments? I've already worked for, 9 years, 10 years in the industry. I'm not going to do any assignment. I don't have time for that. But the reality is, everybody, even if you're applying for a director level position, you are expected to do assignments. They will take different forms. What they're trying to see is, if I were to give you this responsibility, this job that you've applied for, if I give you this responsibility, how are you going to do it? Can you actually show me? So even if you're joining as a CEO, it's not that people are just going to interview, say that, okay, you did a great job in the previous company, come join our company. Even before you've joined, even before you're interviewing, there might be 10 people in line for the CEO thing. And for all 10 people, they'll say, tell us how you're going to take our company forward. I want a detailed plan. I want to understand that you know our company inside out, you know our industry inside out, you know the challenges we face, you know our competitors, all of this stuff. I want you to come up with a plan that when we see it, when we present it to the board says, this is the person who's going to take us to the next level. So if the CEO is doing it, if the director is doing it, if the freshers are doing it, everybody is expected to do it. But the way I see it is, like I said, right, the very first point, 90% of your competition will drop out. This makes your life so much easier. And I'm not even joking. There have been instances where I had brought in multiple candidates for a particular company. All of them dropped out except one guy at that assignment stage, right? Some people did not submit it. Some people submitted it after the deadline. Some people submitted it, but it was not a great job. Everybody got terminated. The one guy who did a good job, like he actually did a great job, he did a great job. It was already given that he's going to get into the company. There was still two more rounds of interview to go. There was still the HR round to go. There was still the negotiation of the salary to be done. But it was already known that this is the person who's going to get into the company, right? Because everybody got eliminated. So please make the most of assignment rounds. In fact, you should even offer to the people saying that, hey, if you have an assignment, if like you're interviewing with some company, you can actually ask, would you like me to do some assignment? Is there some problem statement that you guys are currently working on? I'm happy to take a crack at it, right? It really changes the game. It gives you a great leg up. So good submissions help, and I'll tell you why, right? So typically an assignment also comes with an assignment discussion round. So once you've submitted your assignment, they'll want to have a discussion. If they like your assignment, they like that, you tried a new way to do it, or you came up with a very elegant solution. Uh, Again, the same question will come up. Why did you do this? What else did you try? How else could you have done? Explain your choices of text stack selection, all of those things, right? If they like what has happened, you already become a favorite. Again, from my personal experience, I can tell you that there are companies, when we were finally having that discussion, there were like some, let's say 4 or 5 candidates who all came to the final round. And, the company is looking at who should we hire? And they asked me, who do you think we should hire? And as we were discussing, they're like, yeah, but this guy had, his assignment was very good. You know how many times that comes up? His assignment was really good. He had done a fantastic job on it. You might have done very well in your interview, but if your assignment was good, they will remember you a lot better. You become the favorite for them, right? And so that gives you a huge advantage. Second, that helps in salary negotiations. If you did a great assignment for the same reason that they remember you, for the same reason that they feel like, hey, this person can actually do it. He has proven himself by doing it. If he's asking for a little bit more salary, not a problem. Let's give it because he's going to be a fantastic hire, right? It actually helps you in the salary negotiations. So when all of this is happening, why give up this chance, right, to do an assignment? Um, just mechanics of doing assignment, understand the problem statement very clearly. If you don't know something, if you're not sure about something that they're asking, ask questions. It is better to ask questions than to make assumptions. Sometimes they don't really have answers to those questions, and they'll tell you that, oh, you can go ahead and choose whatever that you want, or go ahead and pick up a data set from wherever it is that you think is relevant. In those cases, just state your assumptions, make it very clear that these are the things. Document your project really well, document your assignment really well, so that even without you explaining anything, you have submitted the code, they're looking at it, and they're like, wow, this is fantastic, right? If they're not sure about something, they can, of course, always reach out to you. But if you've already explained it in your documentation, it makes things a lot easier. Don't miss the deadline. Definitely, it looks bad if you've not joined the company and already you're skipping deadlines, right? It has never worked well. I've very rarely seen people who have skipped deadlines who have still gotten the job. It has happened a few times, but that is only because the reason for missing the deadline was genuine. If someone had fallen sick, or they themselves had fallen sick, they had a medical emergency at home, something like that. Yeah, and then of course enjoy the challenge. Assignments are always interesting. So enjoy the challenge, take it up, and if possible, do something a little bit more than what the assignment has asked. Right? And they might have asked you for certain things. I want the output of this entire thing. What is to stop you from saying that yes, and this is all the output. This is what was asked on the assignment. Here is one additional thing which I thought would be good, right? Here's an additional step, or here's an additional feature that adds more value to this particular, product or feature that I just built. So again, all of this goes back to making you very memorable in their eyes, and giving you a huge advantage over other people. Um, Now, even if you do the assignment, right, and there's no guarantee that just because you do an assignment, you're going to become a favorite and they're going to give you a job with all of those things. Let's say that you don't get the job. It's still a very good way because now you have improved your skills. You actually worked on the problem. It was a problem statement that came from the industry, something that they were working on. Sometimes they even give you like, the data set, or sometimes they might ask you to do it yourself, whatever it is, but you actually had a nice problem statement to work on. You can ask them for feedback. They may or may not give you feedback, but sometimes if you had taken the time to actually do the assignment, the interviewer is happy to share their thoughts on it. What went well, what didn't go well, all of that stuff. Many people continue to work on their, whatever assignment that was given, and see that project through to completion. And now it becomes something new for you to add to the CV, right? Especially this is especially true for freshers who may not have done a lot of projects, but they can actually now showcase all of these things because you have done it. You understand this project really well. You can put it on your CV because you know how to defend it. I will make that point though that assignments take time. It's not easy to do by its own nature. It takes a lot of effort. You have to do a lot of research. You have to get into it to do a really good job, right? And you have to do a really good job enough that it silences all the critics. It gives you a huge leg up over others. But you obviously cannot do, you cannot be interviewing with 20 companies and working on 20 assignments at a time. It is physically impossible. Then what will happen is you will not be able to do justice to all of these assignments, even if you manage to somehow finish them. So that's why I always suggest that don't spray and pray. Don't apply to 20 companies or 100 companies. Don't select all companies and just click easy apply. Don't do all of those things. Pick and choose your five or seven or at max 10 companies, right? And do justice to those. Understand what each company does, understand what is the job description that they're trying to hire for, understand what are the challenges that they're facing. When they give you an assignment, do a really, really good job of it. Even if you just do one or two assignments at a time, that is still very good, right? If you have more bandwidth, yes, definitely take up the assignments, whatever it is. Hopefully, you will not have too many overlaps. Like some companies knew at the start of the interview process early, and you started doing assignments. While you're doing that, you got another interview call, and then you took that interview. Their assignment will come 1 week after, so that gives you enough time to finish the current assignment. So there are many permutations and combinations. But important, don't spread yourself too thin because assignments do take time. They do take that effort and that dedication. So please limit yourselves so that you can do justice to all of these. Finally, if you've done a great job with your interviews, you did a great job with the assignments, you will be called for the, different people look at it differently. It's either cultural interview, behavioral interview, HR interview, leadership discussion, whatever it is, right? Know that if you have reached the stage, you are skilled enough, right? If you had done badly in a technical interview, you would not have been invited for this interview. This is the final stage where they already know that you have the capability. Now they're just trying to figure out, will you be like a good fit for the team? Are you going to create problems for the company? Largely, they are either using it as a tiebreaker. Like there are, three, four candidates who have all cleared assignment and technical interviews, and now they're trying to figure out who is the best of the lot, who you would like to bring on board. This is where things like, your enthusiasm for the company. Have you consistently shown enthusiasm? Are you consistently interested in the work that they're doing? Are you an easy person to work with? Are you a team player? These are the things that go into the tiebreaker. At the same time, they are also looking for the red flags. Have you been defensive? Have you been, kind of very disagreeable with people? Did interviewers like have a tough time with you? They're not feeling very happy or, comfortable working with you. Those are the kind of things that they're looking for. Largely, my advice is if you are a nice person, be yourself. If you're not a very nice person, if you have been arguing with too many people, all of that, please work on yourself. You don't have to pretend, you don't have to do any of those kind of things, but largely you have to be able to get along with others, right? You're not going to work in isolation, you're going to work along with other people. It must be as nice for them as it is for you to work with them, right? So yeah. Coming to the negotiation part, now you've got the offer. Uh, you're seeing the price point, and let's say, and typically you are thinking that maybe you can get a better deal, right? So there's one concept in negotiation called anchoring. It is the first number that is put out there. What tends to happen psychologically is that it will anchor the conversation. So typically people will not move too far from it. If the conversation starts at, if you say that, my salary expectation was 20 lakhs, the company cannot come and say, "Oh, we are looking for someone who's in the 3 to 5 lakh range," right? So your salary was already anchored, and the discussion was already anchored at 20 lakhs. At the same time, if they had come in with the budget saying that our budget is 8 to 12 lakhs, you cannot later go back and say that, but I am expecting 20 lakh salary. Because this would have been a waste of time for both of you doing all of this stuff, right? Which is why I always tell both companies and candidates, please disclose your expectations and your budgets right up front. So that if there is a mismatch right there, please don't waste each other's time. There are many other companies, there are many other candidates. You will always find something that is correct for you. So the good part is in this negotiation, if you've already done this thing, the anchoring is done. So if your expectation is 20 lakhs, the range might be, you know, maybe your salary is currently 15 lakhs. The budget that they were talking about was 18 to 22. You had told them that my current salary is 15. I am expecting 20. That level of anchoring between 18, 20, 22 is already done. Now you are just trying to figure out what is that thing. They are trying to push towards 18, 19, whatever it is. You are trying to push towards 21, 22, and you're hoping that let's find a good point that you're happy with. One thing that always helps is this thing called BATNA, best alternative to negotiated agreement. So what that means is, very simply put, if you have a better offer, you have more power, right? So let's say that in this using the same example, the salary range was 18 to 22 lakhs. Your current salary is 15 lakhs. Your expectation was 20. Turns out that you got another offer from another company for 21 lakhs. Now you can tell them, my salary expectation was 20 lakhs, but I have an offer for 21. Now they also know, you also know that they cannot say 19 because you're going to walk away, right? So they say, okay, you know what, we'll match it. We'll give you 21, right? Or we'll do better than that. We'll give you 21 plus, 3 lakhs joining bonus, or we'll give you 22 lakhs, or whatever it is, right? So if you go in with an alternative, it gives you much more power. This is, just basic common sense. I think most of you have already experienced it. BATNA is just a fancy word for it. But always good to have this. Of course, when you're starting a job search, before you have an offer, you don't have a BATNA. If you think that the offer that a company has given you is not being good, there's no compulsion for you to take it. You can always look for better options as you keep improving your CV, as you keep going for more interviews, as you keep doing more assignments. You will get better and better till you start cracking more aspirational jobs that are paying you the salary that you want. So, but yeah, when possible, go with the BATNA. One thing to remember is it's not always about salary, right? There are multiple elements of negotiation. A lot of times we tend to focus on just salary, but if there's a company that is a really good company, the people have been good, you've enjoyed the interview process, they had told you the budget, and you have that, you've been in that, they give you an offer within that budget range. You're also overall happy with it. Now you are discussing with another company. So let's say one company is giving you 20 and the other company is giving you 22. And you went back to the company and the first company and said, hey, I've got this offer for 22. And they said, look, our range was only 17 to 20. We've given you the highest end. Unfortunately, we don't have more budget to give you, right? And in some sense, you look at these two companies, that 20 lakh company, you really enjoyed it. You like the work that they're doing. You like everything about it. That 22 lakh company, it was a little bit difficult. The work culture is not that great. People have been saying bad things about it online. So you're also thinking, is it worth it for 2 extra lakhs a year? That's, like whatever, 20,000, not even 20,000 a month. Is it worth me going there? Right. So look at other things that you can negotiate even beyond the salary. Is there a variable pay component? Can you tell the company that look, I'm okay with 20, but can you at least include a variable pay of, let's say, 5 lakhs, which you give me the targets. If I hit those targets, then you give me, if I hit 30% of the targets, nothing. If I hit 60% of the targets, give me 21 instead of 20. If I hit 75% of the targets, give me 23 instead of 20. And if I hit 100% of the target, or if I exceed the target, I do 130%, then give me the full thing, right? So some companies will be like, okay, fine, we are happy to, give you a variable pay because they know that if you are incentivized to do it, you will also perform better. Typically, this happens more in sales roles, to be frank, but then you can always borrow from that playbook and also suggest it in a company that is. If they don't have that kind of bonus or they don't have that flexibility around it, you can ask for other things like flexi hours. Can I come in second half of the day? It might be that first half of the day you have to uh, go drop your children to school. uh, can I come in during those hours? Can I finish that, and then after that I come in for some time, and then evening again I go back, pick them up from school, and then I continue to work from home. Now, if one company is saying, no, 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 we are paying you 22 lakhs, you have to be in office, come in at 8 o'clock and you have to be here till at least 8 o'clock in the evening, is it worth it? Would you rather not have the flexibility, all of those kind of things, even if it is like a 15, 20,000 rupees lesser a month, right? So that is one question to ask. Second is something like work from home. Now you might have, parents that you're taking care of. You might have pets. You might have whatever. Maybe you don't want to deal with traffic, right? Good enough. You don't want to deal with traffic, so you say that I'll come 2 days a week to office. Can I work 3 days a week from home? And they'll be like, look, we can give you 2 days work from home and 3 days in office. You can take Monday and Friday work from home, and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday come to office. But that might be great for you if you're living in a different town close to Bangalore or something. So you can say, I'm going to go home every Friday. I'm going to go back to my native place every Friday. I'm only going to come back on Tuesday, right? All of these things might actually be better than just having, a marginal or a very nominal increase in salary. So when you're negotiating, negotiate the whole package, not just the salary part of it. Finally, what to do after receiving the offer, right? I think we're just a little bit over time, so I'll just wind up this part really fast. Once you actually get the offer letter, uh, until the time that you accept the offer letter, right, you still have a window to discuss with other companies, right? You might already be interviewing with like three, four companies. This is a great time for you to go to those companies and say that, hey, I have an offer from this company, and I'm interested in taking it up. But I also like what you guys are doing, and so if we can expedite this process, I'm happy to continue. Otherwise, I'll have to drop out. So if they find that you're a good candidate, you've done like a great job with us, and they'll be like, no, 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 hold on, we will fast track your application and we'll see what happens, right? So this would be a good option for you to also get this. Now, basically, what you've got is back now. You can take that, go to other companies. In fact, you can even take that to your own company, right? And tell your company that, hey, I have this offer now from this other company, and I'm looking to take it up. I'm not getting enough growth here, or whatever it might be, right? I'm not getting the kind of projects that I want to work on. Now that you have something, you know that you can walk away from this, other offers. Suddenly, your value in the market increases, and this is how the game is kind of played, right? This is how it all plays out at the end. Now, once you get that, then you can do it. But please make sure that once, and of course, use this time also to discuss with your current company about the leaving date. If you can move out faster, then it is better for everybody involved. Sometimes you can ask for more time from the company that gave you the offer. You can say that, if you see most of the times they'll say that you need to get back to us within 3 days, or you need to get back to us within 1 week. Sometimes you can actually ask them, give them the genuine reason for it. Don't just lie to them because you're, waiting for the other interview opportunities or whatever it is. You can actually tell them that, look, thank you for this. I'm going to need a little bit more time. I'm talking to a couple of different companies. I'm in the process, middle of the process. I would like to conclude that process respectfully, and I want to make sure that I'm coming to the company that I see myself most fit in. I like what you're doing in your company, but please allow me some time to conclude the rest of this process. If they are not going to be able to conclude by such and such a time, I will be dropping out of that process. If you tell them very frankly that this is how you're approaching it, most companies will be fine. Sometimes there'll be some companies that behave badly and that try pressure tactics and say that no, 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 if you're not going to accept this within 3 days, I'm going to withdraw this. Maybe that's not a company for you to go to, right? If they're going to, even before you join, if they're going to be treating you like this, maybe this is not the right company. So, but most of the times, if it's a good company, they'll understand and they'll say, okay, sure, we understand. We would definitely like you to come to our company. Uh, so yeah, please let us know whenever you're ready, right? In both cases, they also know that if you do get an offer, they will probably have to look at some more negotiation. In some cases, they will be able to do it and they might be willing to do it. In some cases, they will not. Even if you get the other offer, they might say, look, what we gave you was the best possible offer. We are not going to be able to improve upon that. And then it is up to you. Like I said, it is not only the salary part. There are so many other factors. Uh, Most importantly is, the kind of people that you're going to be working with, right? And the kind of work that you're going to do. Because you're going to do that on a daily basis. Your salary you will see once at the end of the month. But the people that you work with on a daily basis determine how happy you are in the company, determine how much you will be able to do and how much you will be able to grow in the company. It determines how fast in your career you will be moving up. It determines your health. If you are going to constantly be under stress, you are going to get a lot of unhealthy diseases much earlier in life, which will actually lead to much bigger medical bills. And, it just becomes a mess. So just be happy. Don't 21 lakhs, 20 lakhs, the discussion should not come down to 21 is higher than 20, right? There are so many other things to look at. So yeah, so ask for more time if you need it. Now, what to do after accepting the offer letter? Let's say that whatever happened, finally you decided which company you want to go to and you accepted the offer letter. Please do not continue looking for new roles because that is a bad practice. If while you have not yet, they've just made you an offer, it's up to you whether you want to take it or not, right? But once you have accepted the offer, the agreement is that they are also going to stop looking for other people. You also will stop looking for other options. They will also stop looking for other options. So you should do this. Now, if a company, after giving you the offer letter, finds a better candidate and they rescind that offer letter and they say that, oh, actually, we are not going to hire or we are not going to honor this offer letter, please be very happy that you have dodged the bullet. Don't feel like, oh, I got cheated. I stopped looking at other companies. I stopped my other interview process, all of this stuff. Just be glad that you, this thing, because today, if they cheated you like this, tomorrow they would have cheated you with more. They would have not honored your equity. They would have, they would have not paid your salary. They would have not done a full and final settlement. So, all of those things. So, you're better off that you dodge this bullet. So, don't worry too much about it. Don't feel bad that, this kind of a thing happened to me. If you have gotten to the stage where you're cracking interviews and you've gotten to that stage where you're getting offer letters, have the confidence that you will be able to do it again, right? Yes, it's a little bit annoying that again you'll have to start that process, but in those cases sometimes you can even go back to the companies that you're already speaking to and say that, hey, the company that I was talking to, they actually did this, from my side. I wanted to be very upfront, and I did not continue discussing with you guys because I had already accepted another offer. But and that is because I don't want to lie to you. I don't want to just do this for window shopping or for offer shopping. But in that process, the company has done this. So because they're unethical, even I would not like to be part of that. If you're happy to continue our discussion, I would also be happy to get back into the interview process. So sometimes that also works, right? Again, it varies from company to company. If a company is sensible, they will do this, and that is ideally the kind of company that you want to work at. So, yeah, most importantly, stop looking for other roles. And once you have accepted this role, stay excited, right? You worked hard for this. This is the company, there are multiple companies that you are talking to. There are some companies that you cracked. You saw the good, you saw the bad, you saw all of that stuff. Stay excited about this. The things that we discussed last time, after you have sent your CV, how do you stay in touch with the company? Similar kind of things you can do here. Look at what's happening on their company page on LinkedIn. Reach out to the people, comment on what they've done. If they've got some, major achievement, say congrats. I'm looking forward to also coming and working and contributing to this kind of success going forward. If they have worked on something new, they've put out a new research paper or a new blog or something that engage with that, ask interesting questions, all of those things, right? So keep yourself excited about it. Um, because what also happens is that, from the time that you put in your offer, let's say that you accepted the offer and then you put in your resignation letter, depending on your seniority, there might be like, anywhere between 30 to 60 to 90 days time. So in that time, stay connected with the company, keep seeing what they're doing, keep seeing what they're learning, try and prep yourself for it. Some companies, if they are having some kind of team outing or some company offsites, they will also invite the people who are yet to join, right? Come and see what the company culture is like, come and meet the people that you're going to be working with, all of that. It does not happen always, but some companies do it. Yeah. So, yes, I think that is pretty much it. I wish all of you guys, the very best of luck. I'm sure, in your process of job search, all of you will be able to crack it. Many of you had also reached out on email. I've not had a chance to respond to everyone. But over this week and the next, definitely we will connect. I'm happy to share, one-on-one, what are the different things that we can do, all of those. Yeah. So yeah, don't worry. Everything will work out well. Even for those of you who have been, applying for a long time, not getting any interview calls, or who have been looking for jobs for a long time and not getting something, don't worry. You just need to change a little bit of your strategy, and then you will eventually see that everything is falling into place. Just take it step by step. First, crack your CV, start getting an interview call, then start preparing for interviews, and then, like that, you'll keep going forward until you're doing interviews, assignments, tech rounds, HR rounds, everything you're doing really well, and you have that offer. It'll all be worth it at the end. Okay, so with that, I think there's one question. Jay Oswal asks, how to handle long notice period in current company. So yeah, that is definitely a challenge. Long notice period, typically, I think I addressed this last one. So if you have 90 days notice period, almost no company will want to bring you in for the interview process, right? Because they're very afraid that, hey, the minute I give this guy an offer. He has like another 3 months after that to go and crack some other offers. So that becomes a worry for people. So one way to do it is, show a really solid performance in your current company, and also if your manager is good, you can tell them that, look, I've done so much great work, but I need to move on. This is being a challenge. Would you be able to reduce my notice period at a later time? And sometimes the manager says, okay, don't worry, I will relieve you early if you get an offer. So then when you're having discussions with the companies, you can actually say that technically 3 months, but I have spoken to my manager and he's willing to leave me in 1 month. If that is not there, what you'll have to do is it's risky, but some people, what they have done is they've gone ahead and put in their papers, knowing that, okay, this is going to be like 3 months, let my clock start ticking. And then when they're talking to companies, they say that, yes, my, potential recruits, they say that, uh, yes, it's a 3 month notice period, but I have already put in my papers. And right now it is, I only have like 2 months left in the notice period. So on this particular date is my last relieving date. So that works well. It's a little bit risky, but you have to be fully committed to it and say that this is what I'm going to go for. Um, One good thing there is that as you get closer to your last relieving date, right, you will start to get more and more companies that are willing to talk to you. Because as you get to, once your notice period is only 30 days, or once your notice period is only, 15 days, it becomes a lot easier for a company that wants to hire immediately to talk to you and get you on board. But this is definitely risky. You don't want to be in that situation where you put in your paper, you are getting a regular salary, and that salary was very important to, manage your day-to-day life. You put in the paper, you're now 3 months is gone, you're out of your job and you've not cracked a new job, right? That's a slightly dangerous situation to be in. So my advice there is start applying to companies with your CV itself. And once your CV has gotten a lot better, you'll realize that, and you've started to get interview calls, then you can put, with a little bit of confidence, you can put on the paper, right? You can put on your papers in the current company. So that is one way to handle it. Um, yeah, that was the second question. Do you suggest resigning and searching for interview calls? Yeah. You can do that if you have a little bit of, savings that can last you for some time. But yeah, I think before you do that, just make sure that as much of the work that you can do, as much of the preparatory work that you can do, you've already done, which means bring your CV to a top-notch state. Make sure that there are enough projects. Make sure that all the projects are, saying the right things and that it is looking interesting to companies. Start interacting with companies. By the way, one other thing that you can do, like I said, there's that, try before you join, right? So if you have a 3 month notice period, start talking to some other companies that might be willing to bring you on board for a project, or that might be willing to engage with you for, working on one specific part of it or something, even if it is unpaid. Even if it is unpaid, also go ahead and take it up, because there might be some clauses in your current company saying that you cannot take up any other commercial engagements. But in that case, just start working with companies. You will find mostly it is startups that are comfortable doing such a thing, and you can start to work with them. So that by the time that you complete, if you see that, okay, things are going well, and you can speak to them and say that, would you be able to make me an offer where I can come and work on this full time? Then you can go ahead and put in your papers, and then simultaneously you can either join the company that you are working with, or you can start interviewing with other places. You're basically giving yourself multiple exit options. uh, can you please send the video for review later? Yes, we are recording this, and I will upload this on our Deep Techstars YouTube channel, and I'll be sharing that along with the PPT, also for the first talk that had happened. So both of them I will send. Uh, Shweta asks, how can I transition into a role after 18 years of experience? It is a little bit of a challenge, because what happens is, for many people, um, if you're already earning, I mean, at 18 years of experience, the salary is already quite high. Now, for a company to hire you, they probably can. What will happen is that you might have, done some projects, you might have done some courses, all of that, built up your AI skills, and you realistically have about 2 years of experience in the AI space. 18 years overall, but 2 years in the AI space. Now, there might be some other people. who have 3 years overall experience, out of which 2 years are in the AI space. So purely looking at AI experience to AI experience, you are at the same level, but your salary is going to be much, much higher, right? So that is the kind of challenge that typically is there. But even there, it is possible to do the transition. Uh, if you can go start working with a startup, that would make things a lot easier. Or if you can find a project within your company where there's a lot more AI that is happening, that would also definitely help. In fact, if you're working in a large company like the IBMs or the Infosys and those kind of things, that is a much better way to go. So there, your kind of current salary, your current status, all of that is protected. If you've done a couple of courses and projects and built up your own AI skills, you will of course have that same interview process like if you're going to join in some other company. But once you crack that, you will be able to move into an AI role. Spend 2 to 3 years in that role. The good part is, a lot of people don't look at service companies like Infosys, TCS, all of that very fondly. But the reality is, if you're working in AI in those spaces, you are probably working on real world implementations for Fortune 500 companies that happen to be clients of these companies. They have a lot of great data, and you have access to that. You have the ability to really move the needle for those companies to create, multi-million dollar savings or multi-million dollar revenue growth. This your CV can improve much faster than working in a small startup, right? So there is definitely a lot of value there working uh, in large companies because the kind of exposure that you get in large companies which have big clients is going to be very useful. So there are ways that you can crack it even if you have, if you're already a senior executive with 18 plus years experience, you can always figure out a way to do it. Happy to have a more detailed discussion offline. Is it good to prepare a JD specific resume or keep it generic? Definitely JD specific. Do not keep it generic because that does not help. In fact, if you keep a generic JD, it will probably get filtered out by ATS, the ATS or the AI platform itself. Like I told you, even LinkedIn, everybody's now by default they have AI filtering out candidates, right? So if you don't have a JD specific resume, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to crack it. Almost, you know, the only time you will get an interview is by a fluke it happened to match the JD because you did not change your CV to match the JD, but it already happened to match. Then you will get a interview call. But otherwise, you can always just change your JD to whereas change your update your CV to highlight the points that are relevant to the JD. Right? Definitely do not. If you have not done the things that the JD requires, please don't add that to your CV because you will get caught during the interview stage. Can we use AI to enhance CV or write it with own words? I had covered this last time in the previous session. You can use AI to enhance it, but I always prefer the immersion that comes from writing it in your own words, right? So, and it's not so much just writing your CV. That part you're already, that's your whole life. So you are already immersed in it. But it's immersing yourself in the company that you're applying, right? So that means you need to go to the website. You need to kind of understand what's happening on their LinkedIn page, on the social media. If it's a large company or kind of a very high visibility company, see what the media is talking about these guys. Go through the JD, understand what their current chances are. It comes through in the JD, right? They're looking to hire someone for a very specific thing, so you can actually go and look for those. Use those to update your CV and say that, okay, look, I had done this project which is very, very similar to what they're asking in the JD, or I have done this project which is very similar to what this company is working on. So as you do that, you immerse yourself in the company and you update your CV by manually kind of editing it. Your understanding, your appreciation of the company will improve, which will be shown, which will come out when you're having the interviews, right? Because when you're doing the interview, you will be in a much better position to have, to understand what the company is talking about, what your interview is talking about. You'll be able to relate to the problem statement that they are saying. You will be able to, tell them if you're going to give an example, you'll be able to give the example in the context of their company, right? Or in the context of their problem statement. So that's why it is very important to be immersed in their company, which is again why you should not be applying to 100 companies or 20 companies at a time. Apply to 5 companies, maybe 7. If you're going to push it, like push it to 10, right? But Seriously, 5 to 7 is plenty. Um, yeah. So, yeah, definitely update your, CV to match the JD. Okay. Shweta says, I have experience in pro and low code tech stack. In fact, okay, yeah, that we can probably, Shweta, we can discuss offline. Um, yeah. Okay, great. So I think that's pretty much all the questions. Thank you all so much for joining today. I hope the last session and this session have been useful to you. I wish you all the best. We do help companies with recruitment. Oh, let me do one last thing. I will just share my contact information. Please feel free to reach out to me here if you have any questions, if you need any specific help. I will try and help, personally, but purely for bandwidth reasons, I might not be able to help everyone or provide too much help. But wherever possible, I'm there to help you guys. Yeah. Those of you not following us on Deep Text as on our newsletter, please do that also because it makes your life a lot easier to stay updated on the latest. Great. So with that, we'll wind up. I think a bunch of events are coming up. Next events in Pune and Bombay. Pune, we just announced one. Bombay will come up shortly, and then the month after, we'll do some stuff in Bangalore. See you all. Have a great rest of the week. Have a good night, and all the best in your job search.
If you're serious about a career in AI, follow Deep Tech Stars on your favorite social media platforms.